Hello and welcome back to this lab. Today we're testing the local account capabilities of Centrify Suite 2016. In the previous video, we tested the local group management capabilities, and in this particular video, we're going to focus on user. Um, so we're going to follow the same cadence that we did before. So we're going to, in this test, we're going to provision a user to all domain join systems in the zone or a subset or individual systems. We're going to disable the user and we're going to remove it from etc password. Um, in the previous, in the next playlist, we're going to deal with passwords as well. But the key here is that there's certain accounts, either service accounts or application accounts, that do need to exist in the system, but they don't necessarily have to have a password. The local account user management plus password is going to be covered in the next video. So um, so like I explained before, I have a Ubuntu machine. This machine has been grouped as an app server, and I have a CentOS machine, and this machine is my PCI servers. So the first test, I'm going to enable a user called James Fu that is available in all systems. So I do it at the zone level. So I'm going to go to your local users, and I'm going to add a user to the zone, in this case, James Fu. And the UID for this user is going to be 1111. And I'm going to set up a primary group. I already have from the previous video, I have a global group here. And I'm just going to give him a home directory. And we're going to give it a shell. I'm going to just use the variables here. And I'm going to enable it. So cadence is the same. We're making a change in the Centrify zone in Active Directory. Typically, you would have to wait for the flush interval. We're going to just run 80 flush. So when I press OK, count is there. So if I do, I get tent password James Fu, and I repeat the same thing. I'm going to get nothing unless I get really lucky and the flush interval hits. So I'm going to do a dz-do AD flush. It's going to ask me to authenticate. And if I do this again, I'll see that James Fu is actually enabled in the machine. So the key here is that if this is account needed for an application or a service account, and you need to elevate to it, you could do dz-do su dash, in this case, James dash Fu, and there you go. So this opens an interesting thing here, right? So if you have a user that you want to provision, wouldn't you want the home directory to be provisioned as well? So this is where Centrify has provided a utility. It's a shell script, and it's triggered based on parameter. So when a new account gets created, you can have actions. So this is the fundamental thing that we're going to do in the next video. Maybe one of the actions is to create the home directory, right? But maybe the other action is to manage the password, right? And it's open, so any password manager can use it. So I'm going to exit out of this, but I can elevate to it. So for example, if you're using Oracle, you need the Oracle account to be present and have the proper, permissions within Oracle, but the account doesn't need to have a password itself, right? So let's verify that James is actually visible here. Okay. So the next is to do it. I'm going to do it in an individual system. I'm going to have John Barr be created here. So I'm going to go directly to Engineering 6. And again, this is not a practice that I recommend. This would be an override at an individual system. You would most like, actually, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go different now. I'm going to create the user, but I'm going to assign a role at the PCI level. So if I go, I'm going to add user to the zone, and this would be John Barr. Okay, and this is going to be 2222. Primary group, I'm going to use this group, and geckos. And just use the standards here. I'm going to enable, right? So notice that in here it says assign a local listed role and make a user visible. I'm not going to do it here because if I do it here, it's going to be visible in the complete zone. So I'm going to uncheck this, right? And I'm going to leverage role assignments at the computer role level so the account is only visible on my CentOS machine. Okay, so where's my CentOS machine? My CentOS machine is a PCI system. I can have a role assignment, right? So I'm going to assign a role, right? And this is going to be a local listed role, right? So for local users. And I'm going to pick a local account. Um, and the account is going to be, in this case, John Barr. Okay, so John Barr has been assigned the local listed role, but the scope is going to be only in this case of the CentOS 6 machine. So the tests are very simple. I'm going to do an AD flush, and this guy should be visible here, right? Because the role assignment is only here. So get tent password John Barr, right? And the next one is let's do an AD flush here, and John Barr should not be visible here. And there you have it. So now I know that I can use zones, child zones, and computer roles to control to limit the visibility of certain accounts. So another test would be, for example, to disable the user from the etc password file. So I can go here and um, let's go to John Barr. What if I wanted to enable? So let's just do this. If I dz do su dash John Barr. So again, same error. No, I didn't do anything with home directories. Um, but if I wanted to disable it, let's go ahead and disable it. So again, same cadence. Do an AD flush. Right, so the account has been marked disabled, right? So if I DC do John Barr, right? In this case, because I was doing this as root, not a good idea to do it. But let's take a look to get 10 password John Barr, right? So the user, you know, um, for a non-root user will be unusable, right? The last check would be to remove from the etc password file. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove it, right? Same thing, do an AD flush, right? And clear. And if I do, I get 10 password for John Barr, he's gone. So again, a lot of power here. The missing piece would be, for example, and this was identified here, right? What happens, what do you want to happen when the local account is created? And that's what we're going to cover in the next video. And in my example, what I'm going to do is, rather than doing something simple as creating a home directory, that's pretty simple, why not manage the password? And we're going to use CPS to do that.